107.9. Good morning and welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. It's great to have you along.
I love the Greg Belfrage Show.
I'm scrambling. I'm scrambling.
Thanks for all you do and keeping us informed.
You sound a little taller on radio.
Dispensing a daily dose of common sense. No prescription required.
Americans love a winner and will not tolerate a loser. Americans play to win all the time.
I don't believe in the no-win scenario.
Good morning, my friend. The marketplace of ideas is open. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show, Wednesday, April 9th. Well, the president yesterday, and he said something last night, and I've got the audio of this. I'll share it with you later this morning. And the president saying, I'm proud to be the president for the workers, not the outsourcers. The president who stands up for Main Street, not Wall Street, who protects the middle class, not the political class, and who defends America, not trade cheaters all over the globe. And it's a really inspiring piece, and I will share that audio with you. Let's see if I can. I got so many windows open up. Okay, here we go. Because I want you to hear this. So they stole our money. They stole our jobs. The president talking about it, and because there's a lot of attention. I know Wall Street, everybody's in a panic, and we'll wind up seeing what happens. There are disagreements. I totally understand this. I have a really hard time because I don't see my quality of life being dramatically affected. I'm not saying that prices are not going to go up, but I don't see the quality of my daily life being affected as dramatically as all of this angst that's out there. I just go back and I'm like, still got a job, still getting paid, still able to buy groceries. I'm still, I just think we got a lot of people who are up in arms and overreacting, and they're not willing to take a chill pill and, give it a little bit of time and just let's wait and see. Let's wait and see where we're at. Let's see how it goes. The president also yesterday, I'm surprised this is not a bigger story this morning, to be very, very candid. Because between Wall Street and what's going on there, and I understand, I'm not saying that's not important, but the amount of coverage that's going on there, I think, is just backbreaking. And I believe is designed to, break your spirits. I honestly believe that. So you've got that going on. You got the so-called spat between, the disagreement between Elon Musk and Peter Navarro, and that's reaching epic levels. And it's like, really? I mean, I'm not saying it's just all a little bit much. And I think what happens is the real news of the day just gets crowded out by all the noise, all the disagreements, all the fear, all the apprehension. For instance, the president yesterday taking action, he said, to help American workers, miners, families, and consumers. He said, we're ending Joe Biden's war on beautiful, clean coal once and for all. We're going to put the miners back to work. And he had video. There was meeting in the in the Oval Office, and miners were there, and they were speaking about what the president's doing, and him leaning more heavily on coal. I think that's a big story. I think it's a bigger story than a lot of this other stuff, to be very candid with you, at least in my opinion. So the big story again in the media today is the tariffs, and the president hitting China with a 104% tariff. And so these are the reciprocal tariffs. And again, the president is saying, he's getting called from, countries they want to deal. And Carolyn Levitt said at the White House yesterday, it was a mistake for China to retaliate. The president, when America's punched, he punches back harder. There will be 104% tariffs going into effect on China tonight at midnight. Now, keep in mind, that is the 50% retaliatory tariff that is on top of the 34% tariff that Trump had announced. Also, there's a 20% duty on Chinese imports. So that amounts to a total tariff of 104% against China. So you've got the Trump administration has been saying, and you're hearing this from a number of officials in the administration, saying their phones have been ringing off the hook. Foreign leaders want to make a deal. They want to lower the rates. And Levitt said the president met with his trade team this morning. I've got to believe that those meetings are going on, if not likely, daily. So she said the president met with his trade team this morning. He directed them to have tailor-made trade deals with each and every country that calls up this administration to make a deal. But the president expects that these tariffs are going to go into effect. The president said the U.S. was already taking in almost $2 billion a day in tariffs. And he said he's not opposed to making deals with specific countries. He said these are not off the rack. These are tailored, highly tailored deals for each country, depending on, the country. So again, there's, I don't want to talk about recession. I don't want to talk about seriously inflation, because we have a lot of other people who are doing that. So the Dow Jones Industrial Average again was down yesterday. That story is among those. The markets, obviously, what's happening is having I'm not trying to downplay this at all. It's having a significant effect on the markets. Absolutely no question of that. But so that remains a big story again this morning, are the president's tariffs and what that's going to mean. Also, this is a piece from the New York Post about Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. It's interesting. She was leading federal agents in a raid yesterday morning. This was in Arizona, where they caught 3 illegal immigrants who are wanted on charges from weapons and drug offenses to running a money laundering operation. And at one point, one of these suspects under arrest trying to kick Noem, and he's handcuffed and he's trying to kick it at Noem, and she said, "You're not scaring me with your crock," she said. And the New York Post has got a lot of reporting on this. So she was there along with agents from ICE's enforcement and removal operations. Homeland Security is also there, the FBI, the DEA. She shook hands with officers, thanking them for the work, pledged to get them the resources they need to be able to do their jobs better. And she told the New York Post, she said, the effort of cooperation we have between agencies is getting turned onto steroids. We have this being multiplied across the country exponentially. Now, anyone who's in the country illegally that's committing crimes and has broken our laws will face consequences, she said. We'll be sweeping them up faster than we ever have before. So this is absolutely incredible. And again, I think there are so many of these kinds of really positive things that are happening in the country that are improving quality of life for Americans, that just especially because of the tariffs and the attention and what's the belly aching on Wall Street, man, they really are a bunch of belly achers. I mean, can we agree on that? People on Wall Street, they just love to belly ache, I think is really, so there's a lot of that going on. And I think in the midst of all this noise, the very positive things that we see happening get lost. So this suspect trying to kick at Kristi Noem with his Crocs, and then at one point she wound up talking to him. He told Noem, he was in the back of the squad car at this point. New York Post says he sounded somewhat remorseful. Told her he has 3 kids and that he didn't want them to wind up living the gangbanger lifestyle like him. And so Noem said, go deal with the consequences of breaking the law here. Give them an example of being a better person, she said. So she also, again, she said, everyone in the country illegally is going to be subject to criminal charges. We're past the deadline of the Alien Registration Act. So everyone in this country illegally now, it's a criminal charge. Everyone should know we're enforcing the act. If you've been here longer than 30 days and you haven't registered with the government, we are now coming after you criminally, she said. That means we can come into your home and get you, charge you, and remove you. And the fines are up to $1,000 a day, she said. And Trump is talking about that. The administration is about using these fines, fining people then too. And she said everybody else is going to pay consequences for breaking our laws. The president, as we're talking about the tariffs, and he made a speech at the National Republican Congressional Committee, the NRCC. The president was there last night. And that was that clip I shared with you a few minutes ago. And the president said, companies are pouring back into our country with plants. There's a run on sites. There's a run on old plants. Most of them are being ripped down from new plants. They've stopped building in Mexico 4 or 5 plants. They're all coming into the United States. And the president said this, I know what the hell I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. And you know what I'm doing too, the president said. And then he said, right now, Japan is flying here to make a deal. South Korea is flying here to make a deal. We have a lot of countries coming in. They want to make deals. If I told them about making those deals 2 years ago or 3 years ago or 5 years ago, they'd be laughing at us. Now they're all signing up, he says. I appreciate his comment here. I know what I'm doing, and you know what I'm doing too, President said. Also, you had Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer on CNN yesterday and talking about these tariffs and the tariff authority. And he says that, and you're hearing this from a few Republicans as well. He says that you got members of Congress, they want that tariff power back. Now, Congress gave the power of the tariff to the president under Joe Biden. Yeah, everybody was okay then, Democrats. Everybody was okay with the president having tariff authority as long as he was a Democrat. Now that he's a Republican, we gotta get that power back. They're having buyer's remorse, in other words. And Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley is one of those as well, who is among the Republicans. Senator Rand Paul has talked about it. So there are Republicans who are saying the same thing, that Congress should have tariff authority. And so Schumer said, we were able to beat back a lot of what Trump did. I was talking about Trump during his first term. We were able to beat back a lot of what Trump did on tariffs. Nothing is as extensive as this is. Over 180 countries affected. This has been done so carelessly that they're even they're putting tariffs on penguins. And he was ready to go on, and then he was interrupted and said, I hear what you're saying. The tariffs are extraordinary now compared to what they were in his first term. Should Democrats have protected against this? And Schumer said, Congress has always had the power to deal with tariffs. We've always had these fights in the past on some of the tariff issues as well. But now that Trump is going so overboard, Congress has every legal authority to take those powers back. And that's what we aim to do. So you and I will talk about that. Should Congress have the power of the tariffs or the president? You think the president's out of control? Again, I think it's given the overreaction from so many people and certainly in the media and Wall Street. Again, you're on Main Street and you're just trying to understand what in the world's going on. I don't play the markets. If you're that kind of person, I don't play the markets. I'm not involved with this. I'm not someone who keeps an eye on Wall Street every single day. All of this, the power of the tariffs, Congress or the president. And I know we've talked about tariffs a lot, but it's the big story, and it has been for the last week or so. Also, the president mentioning that speech that he gave at the NRCC dinner last night. The president said he was excited for the midterm elections. He said, our opponents are not afraid that our America First policies will fail. They're terrified that our strategy will succeed and we're going to get bigger and stronger and better as a party, and that's what's happening, he said. It's going to be something. I'm actually looking forward to the midterms. We're going to prove all of their treasonous years of betrayal will not be forgotten, because it's treason. What they did is treason. When they allowed millions of people to pour in through open borders from all over the world they came, to me, that's treason. What they've done to our country is unthinkable. That's really not anything new from the president. He's talked about that before. Also, Secretary of State Marco Rubio was on Donald Trump Jr.'s podcast, which is called Triggered with Don Jr. He had a lot of interesting things to say. He was talking about the Supreme Court ruling then Monday night on the president's use of the Alien Enemies Act. And so Rubio pointed out the most important thing to come out of this ruling is that you have to go before the judge wherever those people are being held before they're sent abroad, and they didn't do that. What they did, they went to and that was Texas. We talked about this a little bit the other day. They were being held in Texas. And this is what the Supreme Court says, you have to go in front of a judge then in Texas. Well, they knew they weren't going to be able to find a judge in Texas who would be able to step in, who would do that. And so they found Judge Boasberg. And there are reports out there, Boasberg was beside himself to get that case. There were other judges who actually would have come up first on the docket. And he's like, no, I want that case. Boasberg was. The more you learn about Judge Boasberg, the more really the more upsetting it is, at least to me. And that's a look at the big stories this morning. Thanks for starting your day with us. It's great to have you along. 627. This hour of the Greg Belfrage Show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month. Cloudy skies and 36 at Kello.
Gallagher, weekend 6 to 9 p.m. Kello, News Talk 1320, 107.9.
The Kello Hotline is sponsored by Tires, the Give You More Tire and Automotive Store. Okay.
Outdoors into your home with Renewal by Anderson picture and combination windows, optimizing a beautiful view and light in the bedroom, kitchen, or living room from ABC Seamless of Sioux Falls. Call 605-646-2667 today. ABC Seamless.
Wear red on Fridays to remember everyone deployed. ABN Army Surplus and Tactical Gear supports this movement and carries red Remember Everyone Deployed t-shirts. ABN Army Surplus is family-owned and operated and a Purple Heart business. 3 blocks south of the Premier Center.
If you're a business owner, or if you know a business owner, this message is for you. At Bank Midwest, we understand that your company's operating account is one of your most important financial tools. That's why we've added free fraud protection services to our basic business and business checking. And we'll even give you a cash bonus to open your account. Shouldn't your company have the benefit of an operating account this good? Find out how you can get more for your money at Bank Midwest. Member FDIC.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular and get your second month free for a limited time. You'll get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month. Here's Veronica and Jackie, real customers.
I didn't know that I could get something for a lot less money that was actually better than who I was with before.
Anytime anybody complains about their cell phone bill, they say, you gotta check out Consumer Cellular.
And now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free when they use promo code SECONDFREE. Just call, click, or bring us your bill and see how much you can save. Because when it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and use code SECONDFREE to get a free second month. Real people pay to share their opinions, and as ad plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
A mild forecast today. High temperature at 70 degrees. Mostly sunny, northwest wind at 15 to 30 miles per hour. And it looks like fire danger very high as well this afternoon. Red flag warning in effect. Low tonight near 40. Tomorrow, a few more clouds, maybe a scattered sprinkle. High temperature 61. Gusty northwest wind.
And it's Sioux Falls at 6:30. Cloudy and 36 at Kello. Joe Bowman is in the Kello.com news center. Coming up, the Keystone oil pipeline was shut down yesterday morning after it ruptured in North Dakota. Joe will have details on that story. Fox News Radio coming up next. You're listening to the Greg Belfrage Show on Kello.
President Trump said crisis, other countries' leaders are lining up to renegotiate trade deals with new so-called reciprocal tariffs on their imports now in effect.
We simply have to keep our promises to the people, and we have to very simply put America first.
The president at the National Republican Congressional Committee dinner in D.C. Retaliatory tariffs in Canada on some American cars also take effect today. Stocks in the S&P 500 are down 12% since the tariff announcement last week. 3 people are killed, 3 wounded in a mass shooting in Virginia. There are no arrests reported yet.
The shooting's taking place in Spotsylvania County. Deputies say they found multiple people shot as they rolled up on the scene on a street lined with modest townhouses. There may have been more than one shooter.
Fox's Gary Baumgarten area schools are closed today, and people in the area are advised to stay indoors. America's listening to Fox News.
Weather brought to you by Infinity Sedation Dentistry, Sioux Falls. They fix your teeth while you sleep.
Kello News Time, 6:31. I'm Joe Bowman in the Kello.com News Center. The Keystone Oil Pipeline was shut down yesterday morning after it ruptured in North Dakota. An employee nearby reported hearing a mechanical bang before shutting down the pipeline about 2 minutes later. The spill is contained in an agricultural field about 60 miles southwest of Fargo. The cause of the rupture and the volume of crude oil spilled is still being determined. State education officials are weighing a big decision that could significantly impact funding for schools in South Dakota. The Trump administration issued a letter to all states saying they may lose federal education funding if schools have any DEI programs. South Dakota Department of Education has until April 13th to sign a letter of assurance. Minnesota and New York have already said they will not comply. Free access to a life-saving tool for drug overdoses is growing in South Dakota. The local nonprofit Emily's Hope has partnered with Sanford Health to bring Naloxone boxes to the main hospital lobby and emergency room. These free kits provide the opioid overdose reversing medication, also known as Narcan, along with gloves, face shields, and instructions on how to use it and where to get help. Anyone can take a kit for free with no questions asked. 1 if by land, 2 if by sea. Famous words that will be commemorated as part of our nation's 250th birthday. South Dakota is joining over 30 other states participating in 2 Lights for Tomorrow later this month. The state capitol dome will beacon 2 lights on the night of April 18th. Back in 1775 on that date, 2 lights on the Old North Church signaled to Paul Revere that the British forces were coming, so the Massachusetts militia could respond. And the Minnehaha County and Sioux Falls annual community tornado drill is happening this morning. Outdoor sirens in the area will be activated at 10:15 a.m. The drill will last 15 minutes. During that time, city officials encourage schools, businesses, and residents to practice their severe weather action plans. From the Kello.com News Center, I'm Joe Bowman.
The news never stops. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
Weather brought to you by Clint Stencil Construction. Call for an estimate on your remodeling project.
Mostly sunny skies, very mild today. Our high temperature near 70, northwest wind at 15 to 30. We do have a red flag warning in effect for extreme fire danger for this afternoon. Low tonight, right around 40 degrees. Northwest winds will continue. Tomorrow, a little cooler, high nearing 61. Northwest winds at 20 to 35. From the Storm Center at Kettleland TV, I'm meteorologist Brian Karsten.
Free home delivery 24 hours a day. We deliver the news to you at home, at work, in your car, wherever you go. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
If you're searching for a new job, or if you're a hiring manager, here's a real-life example of AI's dramatic impact on the job market. I'm Kim Commando for NetSuite. Download the free CFO's Guide to Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning today at netsuite.com/Kim. You may have heard of Shopify. It helps even the smallest businesses accept all the major credit cards, manage inventory, make sales online and offline, up to and including setting up point-of-sale terminals. They used to be called cash registers. Shopify is a publicly traded company with more than 8,000 employees, at least for now, because yesterday, Shopify's CEO announced that it will make no new hires unless managers can prove that artificial intelligence is not capable of doing the job that's open. In other words, if Shopify doesn't have to hire a real person, they won't. This is just the beginning as more and more companies are adopting every AI tool out there. Start your day with my free newsletter. Sign up right now at getkim.com. What does the future hold for business? Ask 9 experts and you'll get 10 answers. Rates rising or falling, inflation being up or down, Can someone please invent a crystal ball? Until then, over 41,000 businesses have future-proofed their business with NetSuite by Oracle, the #1 cloud ERP, bringing accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all into one fluid platform. With one unified business management suite, there's one source of truth, giving you the visibility and control you need to make quick decisions. With real-time insights and forecasting, you're peering into the future with actionable data. When you're closing the books in days, not weeks, you're spending less time looking backward and more time on what's next. And speaking of opportunity, you can now download the CFO's Guide to AI and Machine Learning at netsuite.com/Kim. The guide is free for you at netsuite.com/Kim. That's netsuite.com/Kim. netsuite.com/Kim.
The Kim Commando Show, live Saturday mornings at 9. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
The Kello Hotline is sponsored by Tires, with 2 locations to make sure you have the proper traction this winter.
Americans love using their credit cards, the most secure and hassle-free way to pay. But DC politicians want to change that with the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. This bill lets corporate megastores pick how your credit card is processed, allowing them to use untested payment networks that jeopardize your data security and rewards. Corporate megastores will make more money, and you pay the price. Tell Congress to guard your card, because Americans lose when politicians choose. Learn more at guardyourcard.com. Paid for by the Electronic Payments Coalition.
Feel alive in 2025 with incredible savings happening now at Jack's Campers. With over 600 new and pre-owned units in stock now, we are South Dakota's best selection. Looking for a great selection of late model trade-ins? We got them. Huge discounts on factory demos? We got them. Incredible New Year savings? We got them. Or save even more on storm damage and rental units. See our entire inventory anytime at jackscampers.com. Kick off the new year with a new camper at Jack's Campers in the Black Hills and Mitchell.
Now, don't get suckered into the same old free phone game by Big Wireless that comes with a lot of fine print, plus. Oh, in other words, you pay more. At the end of the day, you paid for that, quote, free phone 3 times over. There is a better way. Pure Talk, my cell phone provider, a veteran-owned company, my sponsor, my wireless company, has a much better offer. A free phone with a qualifying plan for just $35 a month, and you get a brand new Samsung Galaxy A26. Just make the switch to Pure Talk for $35 a month. You get unlimited talk, unlimited text, 15 gigs of data with mobile hotspot and roaming, all on America's most dependable 5G network. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword Pure Talk, and Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team will help you make the switch in as little as 10 minutes. Again, just dial pound 250, say the keyword Pure Talk for your free Samsung Galaxy with qualifying plan when you make the switch to Pure Talk. Wireless by Americans for Americans.
With Progressive Snapshot, you could save on auto insurance rates by driving safely, which is nice because you can just keep doing you. So keep on using that broken phone charger because it occasionally works. Keep quoting something you heard on the podcast as your own. Keep ignoring your sister's texts while you drive.
Hi, Robert, Melissa, good morning.
Have a great trip. Keep on saying you too. And keep driving safely.
Thanks for being here, gang.
Snapshot for Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Snapshot not available in California from all agents. Surcharge possible for unsafe driving.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-334-2266. That's 800-334-2266. 800-334-2266. Paid for by Wesley Financial Group.
On Kello Radio, you always get entertaining talk and news when it happens. And at Kello.com, there's even more, like local stories and podcasts that make life in South Dakota even better. So it's Kello Radio for what you need to know, and Kello.com for what you want to know even more. Kello News Talk 1320.
20 minutes before 7, cloudy skies, 36. Thanks so much for letting us join you. You're listening to the Greg Belfrage Show here on Kello. This hour is brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
What's trending now?
Add them on Facebook.
Let the tweeting begin. The hashtag does that. News and views from Belk's News Gallery.
Well, U.S. stocks closed lower yesterday, and there had been an early rally yesterday, but the sell-off resumed. So U.S. stocks closing lower yesterday, marking a major reversal from the rally that had set it up about, I think the S&P, they were up more than 4% earlier in the day and reversed that. Also, and there are a lot of eyes on what's going to happen on Wall Street again today. Also, the president signed 4 executive actions yesterday aimed at protecting and bolstering America's coal industry. So this was during an event in the East Room, and he had cabinet members there like Interior Secretary Doug Burgum, others. Lee Zeldin of the EPA was also there. And the first action directed all departments and agencies of the federal government to end all discriminatory policies against the coal industry. And he said this ends the leasing moratorium that prevents new coal projects on federal land. It's going to accelerate all permitting and funding for new coal projects to allow the coal industry to flourish. And this was White House Staff Secretary Will Scharf announcing this, saying this will allow the coal industry to flourish under the president's leadership, he said. So 4 actions to protect and bolster America's coal industry yesterday. And there's some photos and videos of that on the president's True Social account. Also, the U.S. Supreme Court yesterday ruled the Trump administration can keep thousands of probationary workers off the federal payroll. There have been, as you know, a number of lawsuits challenging the administration and their plans then to fire them. So the Supreme Court said the preliminary injunction, can't do that. So the Trump administration can take action then in firing those 16,000 workers. Also, the Trump administration plans to begin fining illegal immigrants who are subject to a deportation order, fining them nearly $1,000 a day if they do not leave the United States. And this was, you had Kristi Noem of Homeland Security who mentioned something along these lines, and the Assistant Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security spoke about it in more detail. She said illegal aliens should use the CBP home app to self-deport and leave the country now. If they don't, they will face the consequences. This includes a fine of $998 per day for every day that the illegal alien overstayed their final deportation order. So fines on top of being deported is what folks will be facing, according to the Trump administration. Also, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is visiting with Japan. And Bessent wrote on X that the president had a very constructive phone discussion with Japanese leaders and that they'll continue negotiations then. And so he will, he said, Japan remains among America's closest allies, and I look forward to our upcoming productive engagement regarding tariffs, non-tariff trade barriers, currency issues, and government subsidies. I appreciate the Japanese government's outreach and measured approach to this process. And this came after the president said on Truth Social that Japan was sending a top team to negotiate. And he said Japan has treated the U.S. very poorly on trade. And I shared some of the president's comments with you yesterday. Also, the president, according to reports, wants a big military parade to mark the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army. And that will be coming up on June 14th, which also happens to be the president's birthday. President will turn 79 on June 14th. But it was reported over the weekend the Trump administration looking at holding a parade on June 14th, which is also Flag Day for those of you who, if that date sounds familiar. So this would start at the Pentagon in Arlington, move into Washington, D.C., and conclude at the White House. And a White House official said no military parade has been scheduled. So as to whether or not this is, I don't know. There are reports surrounding this. The mayor of Washington, D.C., Muriel Bowser, said Monday she wasn't sure if it was a military parade, but she confirmed that a parade had been pitched to the government in D.C. She said, I haven't been directly involved in it yet. I think it was Homeland Security, maybe the White House reached out to our Special Events Task Force, which is what most people wanting to do a parade, that's what you do in the district, she's saying. So it's at its early stages. So apparently there is some talk about a parade coming up on June 14th. Also, the president saying yesterday that he had opened trade negotiations with South Korea. And he said they're one of the many countries that want to make a deal with the United States. He said he spoke to South Korea's acting president. And he said his administration in South Korea have the confines and probability of a great deal for both countries. And he said yesterday their top team is on a plane heading to the U.S. and things are looking good. So this is, and the president has talked about this, countries that wouldn't really, you would have brought this up 4, 5, 6 years ago, and they wouldn't have even wanted to have a conversation, and now they're coming to the United States and they're talking. So based on that, does it seem like things are moving in the right direction? Or, I mean, are you hearing doors slamming? Doesn't appear that way. These countries are not slamming the door in our face other than China. Well, who's surprised by that? Also, the president yesterday, he welcomed the Dodgers to the White House. So the Los Angeles Dodgers in the White House on Monday. And this was pretty cool. There were some, I thought, very neat moments between the president and the Dodgers, and in particular, Shohei Ohtani. He was actually in the Oval Office. And the president was just saying he had all these nice things to say about Ohtani. He said he looks like a movie star. He's got a good future, I'm telling you. And and then the president joked about it with Davey Roberts, who's the manager, and said, "Is he good?" He was just joking. Is he good, Ohtani? He's only getting better. And the president agreed. He said, and he's getting better. That's scary for a lot of people. Then you had Ohtani, who took a photo with Trump in the Oval Office, and it was pretty cool. As I watched some of that video, it's a short video, and the president sitting at the Resolute desk. in the Oval Office, and Otani is just like looking around and, you know, almost like, you know, I think, as many of us would be, kind of in disbelief that you're there. And, you know, the president's like, come over here, let's take a photo together. And the president's, you know, they take a photo together, and then the president directs him, hey, the Declaration of Independence is over there, and you can take a photo with that. So he goes over. It was a pretty neat moment. And you see, you know, Trump, I thought that video was very revealing. And it shows Trump, he's not this, the guy is the person that we all see. Privately, publicly, this is the guy. And it was kind of some neat moments. And I posted something on Facebook yesterday regarding that. If you want to take a look at that video, I thought it was pretty catching. All right, there are reports of this spat between Elon Musk and Peter Navarro. Peter Navarro is the president's senior trade advisor, and Elon Musk thinks that apparently Navarro is a moron. That's what he said on X. Navarro is truly a moron, he said. And Navarro responded to that, actually, I thought, fairly good humor. And he said, you know, Elon Musk, this is where he's at. And, you know, he's a car assembler. And so then Elon Musk responding to Navarro's comments, demonstrably false. And so now the White House is asked about this, because this has gone on social media and on some of the other, you know, Elon Musk makes a lot of his comments on social media on X. And then Navarro's out there on a lot of network shows, and he's being asked about this. So now the White House being asked about it. And Carolyn Levitt responded to the spat yesterday. And she said, look, these two are obviously two individuals who have very different views on trade and on tariffs. Boys will be boys, and we will let their public sparring continue. Boys will be boys. And that's kind of the way it has struck me as well, you know. And I think it's Elon Musk who is being a little bit, you know, punching a little bit harder. Navarro's been, you know, in pretty good spirits about it all. And the media is making all kinds of, you know, noise over that. To the point that the story is trending this morning. Honestly, if I were left to my own devices, I'm not even certain I'd share it. This spat between Musk and Navarro. Also, the Keystone Pipeline was shut down after a bang was reported yesterday morning up in North Dakota. And this is one of the program managers with the North Dakota Department of Environmental Quality, who said an employee on a pump station heard what was described as a mechanical bang yesterday morning. And the employee immediately shut down the pipeline, notified emergency personnel, and the control center leak detection systems detected a pressure drop in the system. So there was a shutdown that occurred. This was yesterday morning, and the affected segment has been isolated. And they're working on it. Also, a rare virus that's linked to the death of Gene Hackman's wife has been found in 3 more victims. And this is sparking warnings. So the public health officer said in a statement, the occurrence of 3 cases in a short period has me worried, especially this early in the year. So a third case, each of this, each of which has been fatal, is tragic and alarming. We don't have a clear sense of where this young adult may have contracted the virus. So they're trying to figure that out. Also, a Nevada man was arrested yesterday after 7 tigers were seized from his home. And he said they were emotional support animals. I'm not joking. It's funny to me. All right. Also this morning, the Toronto Blue Jays and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. have agreed to a 14-year contract extension. It's worth $500 million. They agreed to this earlier this week. And so Guerrero was set to become a free agent after this year's season was over. And he's one of the most popular players that's out there, and likely would have done very well. Also, there's a story about a transgender athlete who took first place during a high school girls track meet on Wednesday in Portland, Oregon. This is a boy who came in last against boys, first in a girls competition. And that's a look at the stories trending this morning in Belf's News Gallery. Thanks for starting your day with us. 6:57. This hour of the Greg Belfrage Show, brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month. Cloudy skies, 36 at Kello.
Needs to know. Kello is here 24 hours a day.
Well, thank you, my friend, for starting your day with us. I hope to see you when we during the 4th hour coming up today at 9:30. Otherwise, so long until tomorrow. Take care.